eating my grape nuts. Y'all kiss my ass. You just,
Yeah.
you guys just sit around like little pretty little anchors on television while us producers have to get everything running in the background. So fuck you guys.
I'm laying here on my couch with about 10 pillows like King Farouk, waiting for someone to feed me grapes.
On this episode of the John 1911 podcast, the 10mm P320 is a thing. Is attacking the NRA a mistake? Kamala is all about the Benjamins, and camera karma strikes again.
Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Danny, Marky, and Freeze, and this is episode 183 of the John 1911 podcast. So, since you guys are done giving me a hard time waiting for me to get everything set up, why don't you start this podcast by jumping into a topic?
Okay, I know I actually have a solid topic to comment on. It's politics. But I'm going to defer to Danny. No, I'm deferring to Danny on this because I thought the Attorney General of Chicago, Fox, I thought she was out of a job. Off pod, Danny said that she actually is not out of a pod. But when I saw the video presser of the police chief of Chicago and the mayor of Chicago, I personally just immediately figured they were distancing themselves from Fox by blaming her on all the looting that was going on like this past week in Chicago. But Danny says actually Fox is still in power. So she's like dismissed 25,000 felony cases, including the Jussie Smollett case.
Juicy Smollett? Juicy.
Yeah, Juicy Smollett, the French guy.
So Danny, chime in here. Tell me what's going on.
Well, hold on. Before we do this, let me just go ahead and say this. Not every city and municipality and state around the country has re-election terms on the same cycle. So was she even – I don't even think she was even up for anything, was she?
Yes, she was in the primary, of which she won handily. Okay. But Freeze, 2 words, blame game. The mayor of Chicago and the chief of police are actually starting to somewhat blame her, which she deserves all of it, for all of these people being recycled back onto the street. And
so I'm correct in that aspect of it.
Yes, you are. You're 1,000% correct. And she did release 25,000 felony charges against rioters, looters, arrestees, whatever.
And Juicy Smollett.
And Juicy Smollett.
You're right, the French guy. And the point is she's doing this because she has the general coming up and she does not want to offend her voting base. So the police chief of Chicago said, why are we arresting these people if you're not going to prosecute them? Well, then they thought about what they said at the presser, the mayor and the police chief, and they were walking it back of her criticism.
So I'm going to go ahead and make a few points here. No one ever likes to hear this, but it's true. We may not get the government we want, but we always get the government we deserve.
No, I agree with that 100%.
And if the people of Chicago, look, it's Chicago. It's not where I live. It's not where Freeze lives. I don't know if Danny actually, you don't live in Chicago, do you? You live outside of Chicago, right?
No, I'm outside of it, thank God.
Okay.
You close enough to where you own it, Danny.
So, okay, we're going to throw this, So, but here's the thing. If the people of Chicago don't care about the rioters and the looters, if they don't care about all the people being killed in the South Side of Chicago, if they don't care about Juicy Smollett, and if they don't care about how their government functions, then I've got bad news for you, Chicago. The rest of the country doesn't care either. That's the truth. That's why the truth is, like, Black Lives Matter. No, they don't. Not in Chicago, because nobody cares. And people in Iowa and people in Ohio and people in Michigan, there's nothing we can do. If you guys won't do anything short of sending in the National Guard, which should have been done decades ago. Nobody. I mean, I hate to say it. This is not politically correct. Nobody cares about Chicago. Nobody. Only Donald Trump seems to ever care about Chicago.
That is correct. And Chicago now has a new name, don't you?
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I don't know.
No. It's called Detrogo. Detroit, Chicago.
Detrogo.
That's what they're calling it.
Hold on. That may be the new title. For the episode. So
holy crap.
Well, it's very apropos, isn't it?
Oh,
the way it's going.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to do a ton of politics. I mean, like, there's so much, because there's so much. I mean, we're going to do a lot of politics this episode, but there's so much to cover. But Beetlejuice, her city is in flames, and she shows up there and basically says, it's Donald Trump's fault. And it's like, okay, like, I guess, if you don't care about Chicago, neither do we. I mean, okay, you can get up there and say anything you want, Beetlejuice, but, it's your city. You're not accountable to me.
Well, one last point on Chicago. All of the rioters that were doing the looting are now justifying it. And you know how they're justifying it?
Oh, they were always justifying it. I mean, yes, reparations.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, of course.
That's exactly their justification.
Look, here's the truth. I saw that woman who was the she's a look, I'm going to stop calling them Antifa or BLM because this is nothing to do with any of that. I mean, I'm anti-fascist. I'm for Black Lives. Okay, I don't know what these people are, so I'm not going to use these made-up names. They're Marxist. The Marxist communist leader, after all this happened, she came out and she said, well, this is reparations for systemic racism, and your businesses, you have insurance, you'll get paid, my people get nothing. And what she's really doing is, this is starting to turn. Donald Trump is doing twice as good now than he was 60 days ago. And half of it is because of all of this nonsense. And this woman coming out and saying this is reparations was literally her coming out and trying to spin this because it's embarrassing. And there's nothing they can do. She has no control. This Marxist girl, she speaks for these groups. Like, she actually has any command influence over any of them. She's basically a talking head trying to ride this, and she had to say something, so she made some bullshit up after the fact, and they're losing control of this. Like, the mayor of, what was it, Portland or Seattle, or was it maybe I don't know, maybe it's Minneapolis. One of these guys came out and said, they were trying to be on the side of the protests and the riots. And now they've come out and said, you're going to get Donald Trump reelected, you better stop. And that was like a moment of accidentally reporting the truth.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, like, speaking of mayors, de Blasio.
Another communist.
No, of course. I just heard this. I think I read the blurb yesterday. It says Blasio's threatening to lay off 22,000 New York City workers if the federal government doesn't bail them out. Now, my whole theory, here's the thing. My whole theory is, you know what? Look, Donald Trump's not going to win New York. He's not going to win New York in the election. It's going to Harris. Oh, I know. No, I'm sorry. It's going to Biden.
No, you were right the first time.
Yeah. Okay. So New York's going to Harris. So look, here's the thing: is why should he bail out New York City? You know what? Let de Blasio let him lay off 100,000 workers in New York City, Let New York City workers feel the fucking pain. Because the truth is, Trump's not going to win New York State anyway, so who the fuck cares? Let him lay off everyone. Let them feel the pain. Let them hate de Blasio. Now, they'll probably hate anyway.
Okay. Couple. First of all, de Blasio is going to go down in history as the least, or probably is the worst mayor of New York, and that is not an opinion of someone that lives in Ohio. That is an opinion of someone who lives in New York City. They think the guy is a complete jackwagon. So, did I lose you? I hear a bunch of sounds like some of those ground fighting. Okay.
No, I'm here.
Okay. It's probably Danny. Yep, Danny's.
I just think Danny just went away. I just heard a bling.
Yep, I see it. He'll jump back in. So, de Blasio. This is a theme that's been going on with all of the like Nancy Pelosi trying to negotiate with Trump on a bailout. California, they're all trying to use the crises as a lever to get money from the federal government so they can bail out their bad policies, and that's what the big fight is with Trump. And so de Blasio is just trying to. Even de Blasio is such a loser that he's not even leading the charge. He's reading the papers, he's seeing the reporting, and he's just trying to say, "Hey, me too. I'm down with the struggle. Bail me out."
What you're saying, de Blasio's saying, "Hey, I'm like Minneapolis Junior."
I mean, it's kind of pathetic. It's like, if there's something to be said about being mayor of New York. I mean, I'm not a New Yorker. I go to New York. I don't like New York, but one thing.
The mayor of New York holds a lot of fucking power. New York is a very powerful city in this country.
Well, but here's the thing. If you live in New York, you should like being the mayor of New York. You know what? I'm going to check something real quick because I just want to see. Danny, are you there? Nope, he just checked out again. So.
I see Danny gone.
Yeah, well, you know what? He'll figure it out. So, it's just one of those things where it's like, if the mayor of New York City doesn't care about New York, why should somebody in Ohio care about someone in New York? Hold on, let me check on Danny. Are you there?
Bad. I don't know why.
Yeah, you're having all kinds of trouble. So, all right. So Freeze. I mean, but you know what? The talk about the bail, New York, because I know Danny's dying to talk about this. Let's see if he's even. Danny, are you still have a good connection?
Yeah, I have full service. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, so good. You keep you were dropping in and out. So all right. So okay, Danny, I know you're dying. We finished New York. I know you're dying to talk about this woman. I know you're just dying, and it's like we will get gun stuff into this podcast. So mind the clock.
Yeah.
Tell me about Kamala Harris.
Oh my God. Yeah, go ahead, Danny. Go for it.
Hold on. Danny, you there?
Yeah. Marky,
say that again.
You're the one that keeps fading in and out.
Actually, no, it's you because I'm the recording server. So
really,
as far as the listener is concerned, it's you.
All right, I'll take the blame. I get blamed for everything. I'm good at that. Okay.
That's true.
With Kamala Harris, you know that the Harris and Biden campaign have already told the news media outlets how she's basically untouchable. You can't show any pictures that are unflattering of her. You can't show her face when she was getting all over Kavanaugh. You can't show anything or write anything that is not becoming of her. And that was from the main networks to their outlets.
Well, yeah, I mean, but look, okay, all right. I'm going to school you a little bit, Danny. Let's understand how this works. When you're producing content, news, and I'm going to pretend that I'm a communist, and we run a communist website, and we're doing stories on these communist people. It didn't matter who Joe Biden chose. It didn't matter. He could have chosen Kamala. I think I'm saying her name right. He could have chosen Gretchen. He could have chosen Gretchen Whitmer. He could have chosen the senator, the woman who's above you up there in wherever she's at. She bailed out years ago.
Oh,
he
Whitmer.
He could have chosen. Elizabeth Warren, and the following headline of a story would be the same. Joe Biden's campaign is a transitional campaign, or this is a transitional election, or this is a, these kind of headlines, you can just insert headline into the story because you just find a reason to say, like, here's the thing. Joe Biden could have chosen Wayne LaPierre as his vice presidential candidate, and you could write, Joe Biden campaign is a transitional event for America. You see what I'm saying? If he had chosen Elizabeth Warren, she's basically a communist. Joe Biden campaign is a transitional event for America. A lot of these stories and these headlines are literally turnkey. They're pre-programmed, observations. And you just basically say, all right, how is this person special? Elizabeth Warren, she's special because she was involved in Dodd-Frank and financial stuff. Kamala Harris, she's special because she's attractive and she's from California. Gretchen Whitmer, she's special because she's a woman and she's the future of the Democratic Party. You just make up bullshit. You may believe it, but these stories are not new. It's nothing like I can predict the next 5 stories that are going to come out on these lefty newspapers. I mean, it's not a big surprise. So let me ask you this, Danny. Time for some political analysis. Why did he choose Kamala Harris?
The black vote.
Okay.
That's one reason. It didn't make sense to me to choose her because California, like Friesen said about New York, that's already going to go to them.
Yes.
Where does where does she help to pull possible swing states to their favor away from Trump?
Well, okay. So I'm going to circle back to your first comment because it was actually incorrect. Here's why. Vice presidents really have 2 jobs on a presidential campaign. The first job is to go out and run their mouth and carry water for the candidate. The second job is to bring electoral college votes in the electoral college. So they're going to carry California. She's not popular, apparently. I mean, like, I'm not that deep in Democratic politics, but I keep hearing that all the blacks supposedly don't like this woman. So how does she, other than them saying, well, I'm going to choose a black woman, because he boxed himself into a corner on that. And how did him choosing her, what did he, so, okay, Biden said he's going to choose a black woman, and who were the options? Because he boxed himself into a corner. Kamala Harris, Stacey Abrams, Val Demings possibly, but most people don't know who she is. There's a woman in California that you talked about, and I'm sure I'm forgetting one. But why did he choose Kamala Harris? Do you know why?
I don't know. I can't figure that out.
Well, go ahead, Priest.
No, I have no clue because, look, I mean, from my point of view,
the answer's money. The answer's money, and here's why. Where does the Democratic base, the Democratic Party, like when Hillary Clinton was campaigning. Let's go back and look at Hillary's campaign, and she was going around having these expensive fundraisers that are never covered by the mainstream media because it doesn't look good. Elizabeth Warren talking about having remember Elizabeth Warren, she was complaining about people having fundraisers in wine caves of rich people's houses. When Hillary Clinton was going around raising money for her campaign and her party, she went basically to two places. This is pretty consistent. It's either New York City and the Acela corridor up there where all the liberal money is, or it's the West Coast out there where all the Hollywood West Coast money is. And those two groups, like Kamala Harris, one, she brings the money from California. She's very popular in California, which brings the money, not the Electoral College votes.
Okay.
The other reason is he could not cut his legs off half his financial base. Half the Democratic Party's financial money, the other half comes from the New York Acela corridor financial services industry. And here's the thing. Those people, they hate Bernie Sanders. They may be communists. They may be, like communists for thee, but none for me. They hate Bernie Sanders because Bernie's going to take their shit away.
Yeah.
They hate Elizabeth. They really hate Elizabeth Warren because Elizabeth Warren is smart. And Elizabeth Warren can read a tax code and read a corporate structure and embarrass these people and take their money away and really hurt them. They were really afraid of her. Kamala Harris is basically you shove her hand up her ass and you make her talk like a Muppet and say whatever you want. And they were like, cool. They chilled out. Because remember, during how soon we all forget, during the primaries, when everybody was running, there was all these grumblings coming out of New York and the Wall Street district saying how they were going to, quote, sit out this election and not give money to Democrats because they didn't want to have anything to do with these communists. Because they were scared, like the real communists, like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Now, look, so that's where the argument is that Kamala Harris is a moderate. The only difference between Kamala Harris and some of these other people is she won't nationalize your bank, but she's still a radical leftist. But she's not going to take these rich people's shit. That's why they chose her. It's about money, raising money.
Well, she also, no matter what, she still has history, and history is recorded. That is going to play against her like you've never seen, be it how she signed on with the Green New Deal, how she wants Medicare for all, how she wants to get rid of all the private insurance companies, the whole NRA.
Okay, so hold on now. Wait a minute. Hold on now. Wait a minute. You're making an argument as a conservative. Green New Deal, Medicare for all, get rid of, whatever. Those are not radical positions in the Democratic Party. It's like saying, he's a radical because for the Republicans because he believes in the Second Amendment. It's like every Republican's like, yeah, fuck you. What's the point? What's the problem? Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
she is. Okay. Here's where Kamala Harris has a problem. Okay, actually, here's what's really happened here. Kamala Harris this is her second coming. Kamala Harris was supposed to win these primaries. Kamala Harris was supposed to get the nomination. Kamala Harris was the future of the Democratic Party. I mean, it's been her turn for a while. Like in the Republican Party, people look ahead and they say, okay, who's the former governor, the woman from South Carolina? What's her name? Nikki Haley, right?
Yeah. Nikki Haley.
She's in the batter's box. Nikki Haley's run, depending on what happens in 2020. Nikki Haley is going to run in 2024 or 2028. She's up. She's coming. Kamala Harris has been on this train for multiple years now, but here's the problem. Here's where she's weak. Kamala Harris, I don't know if we talked about this on pod or off pod. Look, she's qualified to be president. She's a senator. She's held statewide office in California. She's worked as what they call AG or, prosecutor, whatever they call that kind of stuff, city and county and state, whatever. She works in Washington. She knows where the bathrooms are. She's qualified to be president on day one if an unforeseen thing happened. But here's what happened to her. On the campaign trail, she's terrible. And how does a woman who has this much experience in politics, who's an attorney, not only an attorney, a prosecutor who's supposed to get on TV and make the argument as to why we are going to execute this person and we're going to prosecute these people. They would stick a microphone in this woman's face in Iowa, and she just stepped on her own dick. It was unreal how terrible she is. She literally can't talk off the top of her head, and it's surprising. And it's going to be really interesting to see. The Biden campaign as a problem. They can't put Joe Biden out. Joe Biden is basically being taken care of by nurses. Kamala Harris, if Joe Biden doesn't make, did you know that 50% of all Democrats who are going to vote in this upcoming election don't believe that Joe Biden would finish a complete a first term if he's elected?
Yeah, actually, I believe
they are.
Yeah,
yeah. That is a stat that they've surveyed that. She's the real president. But here's the thing. He can't talk. She can't talk. Either she's gotten a lot better or she's been practicing, or there's going to be major trouble here with her because she has not shown us that she can actually run her mouth.
Well, I tell you what, last night, Joe Biden had a press conference and talked, and, and who my wife, who is like Danny, who is a conspiracy theorist to the nth degree.
I haven't been called that in 2 weeks. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, the truth is, she busted my balls talking about how awesome Joe Biden was. He didn't make any super gaffes. He didn't basically play out as a fool. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. He's reading off of a teleprompter, and he had a good day. And it's like, it's okay, because Joe Biden's allowed to have a good day on the teleprompter. But, of course, she's freaking out because out of all the time she's heard Joe Biden make gaffes, all of a sudden she feels he had one speech where he made no major gaffes, and she's worried. And it's like calm down, Danny. I mean, Mrs. Freeze. I mean, it's like, come on, it's okay, because even Joe Biden's able to have a presser where he didn't screw up. It's okay. It happened.
Let's talk about history here. So, because we're all three of us remember these, we just don't think about it. So. When Ronald Reagan was running for re-election in '84 against Walter Mondale, the very first debate that they had, Reagan did terrible. Because that was the argument against Reagan, is he's feeble-minded, jelly bean head, he sleeps all day, he's walking around the Oval Office in his robe, he's too old to be president. And then he came back with a second debate, and he said, I will not let age and inexperience, be used against my opponent, because he made a joke about age, but he really turned it against Mondale, and it was hilarious. Yeah. Also, Barack Obama, his first debate against Mitt Romney, everybody forgets, Romney crushed Obama at the first debate, and everybody was like, "Ooh, baby, it's on now." And guess what happened? Obama and Reagan both did 2 terms. So there's going to be a lot of up and downs for people this whole election season. So
sure,
grab your ass. There's a lot to cover on that. So you know what? And actually, I'm going to say that this will be the last political thing, I think, and then I'm going to get off of it. Did you guys see the ad that the Trump campaign has finally gotten their act together? They're really doing a good job. They're running. I'm seeing commercials. I'm seeing arguments. They're pushing back against the Marxists. And the Trump campaign, right after they switched to a different campaign manager, they demoted Brad Parscale. They did the campaign. It was a 911 where the old woman, she's in her house watching TV, and somebody breaks in and she calls 911, and the recording. Have you guys seen this ad?
No, I have not.
No, I have not.
Okay, yeah. Well, here's the thing. This ad, I saw it on some of the news cycles, and I saw it on Facebook, and it was a hella good ad, and Facebook pulled it. Facebook said it had disinformation in it because supposedly Biden doesn't want to defund the police, and it's like, oh man, like really, Facebook, this is the argument you're going to make, that the left doesn't want to defund the police. This isn't really happening, but Facebook actually pulled that ad, and it's it's reasons like that why like if I used to make the argument that I believe in the market, and I still do, and I believe in free speech, and I still do, and I believe in competition, and I don't think we should censor private businesses. But I have come to the point, because we have personally been so damaged by Facebook and some of these other groups like Twitter. I got off Twitter because what they did to us. I'm like, I'm just not going to play with you anymore. If I were to be called in for a federal jury trial, like, hey, can you sit on this jury trial for something against Facebook, Twitter, whatever? Like, I can't. I'm too biased. I think they should be burned to the ground. I mean, I admit that I'm like, I can't. I understand the argument, but I'm so aggrieved. I've gone over the edge, and I can't pretend that I just don't think these people need to be wiped out. And I'm just, I hope, but I've been waiting for the market to do it, but whatever. It's just, I'm kind of over it. So,
well, Marky, if I can make a quick point, it's about two DAs, one in New York suing the NRA, and the one in Atlanta that got beat.
Well, you know what? Because I talk about guns here for a minute. This is how crazy this is right now. Just think about this. We went through 2 election cycles with Bill Clinton. We went through 2 election cycles with George W. Bush. And I'm trying to think if there's really anything other pertinent. But there used to be a rule. And the rule was, hey, it's an election year. Nobody's going to do X, Y, or Z because it's an election year. Like, for example, like we in the gun community would always be like, hey, oh, yeah, dude, suppressors aren't coming off the NFA because, like, right now, dude, it's an election year. Nobody's going to fucking do that. And, like, the Democrats during an election year, they would sit around and go, yeah, why don't you hush the fuck up on assault weapons bans because we're trying to win a general. And that was always the rule. Here we are. We are 90 days, less than 90 days, I think, from the 2020 presidential election. We've gone through COVID. We're going through riots. The cities are burning. Crazy Marxists are running around attacking private citizens. People are scooping up guns left and right, including people that traditionally are Democrats because they're afraid. And you got this woman in New York is like, I'm going to shut down the fucking NRA. I mean, it's like, talk about a gift to Republicans.
Yeah. No, I mean, really. I mean, at the end of the day, when you talk about it, you're right. It's kind of a gift. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is
a gift.
Any other time, it would be like, political bullshit. But dude, seriously, this is an unusual situation.
But I think if you look at it from 30,000 feet, I think the difference between now and the past, and it's true whether you're talking Republican or Democrat, is I think the parties themselves have lost some control over their members. So, like, obviously the Republican Party has no control over its members. That's how Donald Trump got elected, because they hate Donald Trump. I mean, let's not even fucking bullshit each other. They hate. I mean, if Donald Trump goes down as the greatest president in history and ends up on Mount Rushmore with Barack Obama, all the Bill Cristols and all these folks they'll try to rewrite history and say, well, we were all on the same side, we all wanted the same things, and he's a great president. Like they rewrote history on Ronald Reagan. But it's, the Democrats are now going through their Tea Party moment. This is a Democratic Tea Party, the communists. the communists and the Democratic Party saw the Tea Party take over the Republicans and get Donald Trump elected, and they're jealous and they want their turn. And it's the soul of the Democrat. 2020 is really as much about the Democratic Party and communism and Marxism as it is about Donald Trump.
I agree. It's funny though how a lot of these Democrat politicians are embracing this Marxist movement.
Well, how many Republican politicians who quote embraced the Tea Party in 2010 and 2012, but they you get in their voting records and they're just fucking liberals again.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It's all bullshit. It's virtue signaling.
Yeah, playing for the crowd.
It's fake. It's saying it's Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is a child of this environment. Kamala Harris, she will literally get in front of any group and they ask her whatever, like, hey, like you could put Kamala Harris in front of an anti-gun group, the Bloomberg gun control, whatever they call it, Everytown USA, and be like, we think these suppressors are weapons for assassins and they need to be banned. And she'd be like, yeah, they need to be banned. You can literally put her in front of a group of farmers and hunters in the state that she wants to win and be like, we need suppressors to be more readily available because we have all these people who are losing their hearing trying to maintain their properties, and it's about health and safety and quality of life and noise pollution. And she would go, yeah, we need to make suppressors more readily available so people don't lose their hearing. And she would say that in the same probably within 30 days of each other.
Yep.
I mean, she's and that's kind of what we're looking at now. People will say anything in front of anybody to win over that crowd. But now with the internet and Google and searching, everybody can look everybody's record up.
I still say this is going to be one of the dirtiest campaigns on record. The dirt that'll
it's already
unbelievable.
Oh, I mean, every campaign's the dirtiest campaign on record, dude. Like you said, who like someone sent the because of her relationship with Willie Brown. Like there's a meme already. Instead of Obama, there's a photograph of her and it's Obama. And like another one, like here's Willie Brown with a high-end call girl, and it's a photograph of those two together. I mean, this is going to be bad, and well, you know what I do question though? Her ethnicity. She's labeled as a African American woman. I'm still trying to figure out where geographically that came in from. Well, look, you're trying to play the gotcha game, and I get that, but I think you're doing it from the wrong angle. Look, I don't think it's a good argument to look at somebody and be like, she's black, dude. I mean, whatever, and see, like, yeah, you ain't African American. But here's the thing: use your own words against her. See, once Biden, all the Oppo research has been done on these people, and once Biden picked her, it took like 12 hours. And I saw a story, and I don't know if this is true because you still have to vet everything, where she was running for something in California, dog catcher, whatever she was doing in California. She was not claiming to be African American. She was claiming to be Indian.
An Indian?
Yeah, and it's like that's literally like that's her position. She's a child immigrant she was claiming to be Indian because wherever she was at, that was the argument she wanted to play. And, it's like, which again, it's better to make the argument like, using her own words against her. It's like, well, wait a minute. Were you black then or are you black now? Are you Indian then or are you Indian now? And she's going to make the argument that she's both because she has to, and she can do that. You're not gonna be able to sit here and say that she's not. You're not gonna be able to sit here and say that she's not she's not a certain ethnicity when she obviously is. So.
Now, look,
Freeze, are you back?
I understand what Danny's saying about the Jamaican father and the Indian mother, and the whole African American thing. Is she an African American, so to speak, as the Black Lives Matter proclaim, no, she's not. But she is a dark-skinned woman who is an American-born woman. So, hey, you know what the fuck? She gets it by default because she's dark.
She gets it by default, and that's fine. And you know what? That is not the hill that I want to die on. If I was going to try to beat her in an election, it's like, whatever, dude. Come on. You know, I mean, like, hey, if we're having that argument about those Rachel Dolezal or Sean King, let's talk about it. But,
that'd be different because both of those people are white.
Yeah. So, all right. So we got it. We're going to get off politics. We've been going for 40 minutes on this, and I want to do some industry stuff.
Okay.
Because I think it's interesting. So, Freeze, you know how you're a SIG fanboy, right?
Oh yeah. I fucking jerk off to SIG every night.
Yeah. So,
okay, that might be an exaggeration, but yeah, I am a huge SIG fanboy. Yes.
So there's an interview that came out yesterday.
I saw it.
It's not Ron Cohen. Yeah, it's not Ron Cohen, but it's somebody else. I can't remember the guy's name. But this interview, with this guy, this big honcho at SIG was so amazing.
I saw it. I watched the entire interview. It was amazing.
Yeah. So, but for the listener, it's so amazing because there's questions that they have for why SIG is doing certain things or not doing certain things or decisions they made. And it's so amazing because this guy, who's a high-level guy at SIG, he didn't spin anything. He literally was like, I mean, at one point he was like, fuck you. Like, I mean, so for example, like they were asking questions like, is a German made? Why did you close SIG Germany and SIG USA? Is a German SIG better made than an American SIG? And again, this is all this gun form bullshit by these collectors. And he was basically like, we got the data. Fuck you. It's not. And we're making all the money. And fuck SIG Germany. These are my words.
No, those are basically his words. Not
basically, yeah.
Not in those exact words. But it was basically, it's like, there's nothing wrong with SIG Germany. They made fine weapons. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to dollars and cents, fuck you, America is where it's at. America.
Well, I mean, the thing is, too, like they were, they had the same problem we have with the Blazers. They can't sell, they're not selling guns in Germany. The German government isn't even allowing. It's making it difficult to export guns because of all the drama. But check this out. Now, most people in America don't realize this. The SIG P320 is the American standard service sidearm for the military now. It's expanded. I mean, it hasn't been totally implemented, but everyone gets that. It's the successor to the M9 Beretta 92.
Yes.
When the German army, the Bundeswehr, whatever they call them, they have put out RFPs for a new handgun. And I believe they even may have chosen the VP9, if I can recall. But here's the thing. One of the things that they had in the submission process was about foreign technology, and they basically disallowed the 320 from really having a chance to get it because as far as Germany was concerned, that is an American gun, not a German gun, which is super interesting, especially when people in America – when they are fucking goddamn German gun or fucking bullshit, whatever, and I mean, like that was the death knell for SIG. When the SIG P320 was no way SIG was, the MCX wasn't adopted by the German military, and they didn't adopt the P320 because it wasn't even considered because it's American foreign technology because they wanted German tech, homegrown stuff like made in Germany. As we hear like made in America, that fucking just slit their throat. And basically the guy from SIG said, I mean, he danced around this one a little bit because he didn't want to insult SIG Germany. No. But if you know the business and if you know the story,
Germany.
But that was the one thing he would dance around on because he didn't want to shit on it. But basically the argument was SIG Germany hadn't made money in years. SIG Germany was basically being propped up for no reason. And SIG Germany we've been looking to shut it down for a while. And I actually predicted this because I was like, when they brought the P210 and made an American-made P210, I was like, yeah, Sig Germany's in trouble. They're getting the fuck out. And but there's a couple things for you Sig guys out there that be of interest. Like they asked this guy crazy questions, and he answered them. For example, they said, "Hey, Sig P320, are we ever going to see a 10 millimeter 320?"
Yes.
The guy literally goes, "Yes." Like, holy shit!
Yeah, no,
really?
that's amazing.
Yeah, they asked the guy, "Are you ever going to have a red dot 226, 22 series gun? Factory red dot 226, 228, 229, the 22 series guns?" And he's like, "Yes," but basically he's like, "Eventually, we have to get caught up on stuff."
Yeah.
And they even asked him. They were like, "Why are the Sig MPX mags so expensive? They're plastic." And the guy goes, "Fuck you." I mean, it was probably the most illuminating industry interview that I have ever seen, and I highly encourage people to go out there and seek it out and watch it. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, that website, their comment section, stay out of their comments.
No, stay out of the comment section, but I'll tell you what, it's 30 minutes of good video if you want to watch it.
Yeah, but their that website, their comment section is a fucking shit. It destroys that website.
Well,
but that interview was probably the best I've ever seen.
I actually have a question about the 320. Wasn't that the same gun that was having problems when dropped? It did the AD.
Yes.
Do you think that hurt their business?
Oh yeah. They corrected it. I mean, they worked on it. I don't know all the solutions. I mean, the thing is, the military gun, the M17, M18 has a thumb safety, and I think, again, I don't even own a 320, so I don't ever actually really looked at the fire control group, like, sat in the armory and looked at it. But I wouldn't be surprised if when they deleted those safeties, but the 320 came before the thumb safety one, I think. But basically, the thumb safety solved that problem, and I think what they had to do is they had to lighten the trigger bow or the trigger shoe on those. But I mean, yeah, that was an issue. They had some kind of solution for it. So, freeze, is that correct? Is that how they did it with the SIG?
Yes, it is. But here's the great thing about this interview, and again, it's 30 minutes of well worth watching, because the guy from SIG that was talking. Because they were talking about different issues with everything, and he's like, and his response was, at the end of the day, regardless of what platform you were talking about, he's like, we are so backlogged on getting shit together.
Are you there? Did I lose you? Here. No, I think I lost Freeze. So anyway, basically what he was saying, I think we definitely lost Freeze. So, I mean, I see him on the connection, but he's not. We can't hear him. So, but one of the things that the interviewer asked the guy from SIG that was amazing, and everybody on the internet, if you search it on the internet, you will see a ton of topics about it. And he actually kind of kicked him in the ass on it. Was, where are the caliber conversion kits for the SIG MCX, which is their custom piston AR rifle type setup, and it's not a direct copy of an AR, but it's a gun they've had a lot of success with. And when they came out with it, they were like, we're going to have these different caliber conversion kits for it, and they've never produced them for the open market. And basically, what the guy told the interviewer, he said, look. Basically what he said, everybody on the internet claims that they fucking want these things, but we see the data and we know it's a small market that will actually buy them, and we are too busy right now to make these fucking things for like 10 people that are going to actually buy it.
And that's what I was saying. Am I here? Am I back?
Yes, okay. You are back. Yeah. I don't know what the hell's going on.
I don't know. I was talking, then I dropped. So, hey, whatever. But yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say, because look, the guy. Look, this is a 30-minute video that everyone should watch because the guy basically tells it the way it is. Look, there's a lot of things the internet people want, but at the end of the day, SIG is producing so many items and so much product, they can't keep up for the boutique market. And let's face it,
They can't.
Let's face it, the internet forum guys are boutique dickheads.
They are.
You know,
they don't.
I mean, they are, and you know it. We've talked about this in the past.
Yeah, and you could tell there was. But what was also interesting, I forgot about this. So he actually mentioned a Sig Sauer forum, like a specific, and I don't want to say which one, or he alluded to it. And what that tells me is, and I very rarely have I ever seen a firearms manufacturer even acknowledge that one of these exists. And you could tell that they do. It seems like they at least are in there enough to monitor it. Like I'm not saying they're in there every day because it'd probably fucking give them an ulcer, but you could tell they know what the bullshit internet guys are saying.
Well,
and it's like, they're like, yeah, fuck you guys.
The truth is they probably can't afford to pay one person to sit there and spend 26 hours a fucking day monitoring forums, and that's what it would take.
Okay. But did you even notice statistics? So he made a comment early in the interview. They were talking about the SIG P365, and the 365 is this gun that's, again, we don't have one, but we've talked about it. It's this little pocket kind of, not really pocket gun, but they've figured out a way to get 10 and 15 rounds into a very small gun that people can carry. And early in the interview, before I realized how truthful this interview was going to be, the guy from SIG goes, "Yeah, it's probably the most common gun, probably the most popular gun in America." And I remember thinking, yeah, fucking Glock has left the fucking chat.
Yeah, you see,
like, wait, let me make the point. Let me make the point. He gave the fucking data. He said, by the way, we just made our 1 millionth P365. And I'm like, SIG has made 1 million of these fucking guns?
Yeah.
Dude, that's unreal.
No, it is. But what I was saying is, as soon as he said that comment, I thought the exact same thing you did until he came out with stats. Now, we're assuming his stats are correct.
Yeah, they're going to be, because he's on the internet and the fucking gun guy, they'll fucking catch his ass. They'll search his ass out.
No,
you can just look up the ATF numbers.
No, and look, I'm not disputing his facts. I'm saying when he made that comment, I thought the first thing I said is, really, over Glock? And that's exactly the same thing you thought.
Mm-hmm.
But then he started throwing facts in there, and it's like, oh, shit.
1 million? I was like, so I haven't looked.
When's the last time Glock made 1 million of any one of their models for U.S. sales?
Well, I don't know, but here's the thing. So let me give I haven't worked in this side of the business in a long time, but I used to have to be familiar with some of these numbers. And again, this has obviously all changed. So my numbers, if you're up on these numbers and you're listening to this podcast, you may think I'm full, like, well, those numbers are way wrong. Well, my numbers are 10 to 12 to 15 years old. But it used to be, in the old days, like a custom 1911 boutique maker. I'm not going to name them, but insert your favorite one. They would make about 3,000 guns a year. And then like Kimber, they were vomiting out guns. Kimber was making somewhere around 75,000 guns a year. Yeah. Okay, now obviously I don't know what the hell's going on at SIG, or maybe even, like, for all I know, a boutique maker might be making 10,000 guns a year. But the difference between, like, I don't know how long the P365 has been out, but it's like let's say it's 100,000 guns a year, which is huge compared to the old stats. That would take a decade to sell and make 1 million of them. And here's the thing. Yeah. They didn't say make 1 million guns. They said 1 million P365s.
Yeah.
That doesn't even count the 320. That doesn't count the MCX or the MPX.
No.
And
it's like,
I have a question. Don't you think?
But that also
hold on.
accounts.
Let Danny get his question in first. What's your question, Danny?
Don't you think the circumstances going on in this country, the election and everything is the driving force? So they are trying to satisfy the supply and demand?
So yes, Chief Political Correspondent, you can thread politics into our gun conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is because the communists are freaking everybody out, and even Democrats are buying guns.
Well, it makes sense in a marketing standpoint.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. But to take it further, if you would have actually listened to the 30-minute video, Danny.
I'm going to watch it.
Okay, yeah, you're going to watch it after we talk about it.
I didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
Okay,
there's going to be a quiz. I would have studied.
Yeah, there you go. But the thing is, as the interview went on, he was talking about the what is it, the XMP or whatever. I mean, he's talking about all these different platforms, and are you going to do this? Are you going to make parts kits? Are you going to make trigger groups? And they're like, honestly, we don't have time for that. We will if we get a chance. But right now, SIG is just trying to produce what they can produce. And when you're producing 1 million 365s a year, you don't have time to produce parts kits for other fucking platforms
This is how good this interview is, because he even gives an example, because it was like the MCX MPX, which is the carbine,
the hot shit
versus
AR.
the pistol caliber.
Yeah.
So the MCX is the 5.56 version. The MPX is the 9mm version, basically. So they, when they initially released the MCX, it was supposed to have caliber conversion kits. You can convert to different things, which is totally fine. And they asked the guy about, are you ever going to come out with these caliber conversion kits? And he said, he actually gave a real answer. And he said, not only are they so busy, he said, we would rather make guns and then parts kits, because people buy guns and we sell them at more of a profit. And the parts kits are only really, we have the data, are only really wanted by a hyper-verbal few group of people. And so we would stop production of rifles to make parts kits, which have a lower price point, and a smaller segment of the market would buy these parts kits, these caliber conversion kits, and then we'd be giving up selling full-blown rifles to a much larger market. And he's basically like, we're not going to do that right now. And then even the interview went, the guy goes, so is there a chance that you will never make the caliber conversion kits? And he goes, possibly never. And it was a real fucking answer. And it was like, holy shit. Welcome to business school forums. Welcome to business school.
This was a great interview. It was a phenomenal interview of someone in the industry that actually is in the industry that actually has answers.
Well, Marky, if you can, link the interview when we're done. But my question is, will they sell all 1 million of them?
Yes. That's the thing.
Yeah. They're dealers, because I don't know how it normally works in the firearms industry, unless you want to go DTC, direct to consumer, which will happen, is you have a dealer network. And so, like, let's say, Danny, there's a gun store near you, and they become a SIG master dealer. Okay, like, we carry SIG. Well, they don't let that gun store hang that moniker unless they have to agree to purchase X amount of certain guns over a certain period of time. And, everybody can be different, and I'm sure this has changed. Obviously, a lot's changed in 15 years. So SIG is not sitting on a warehouse of P365s. They probably have none in stock. They're going out to dealers as quick as, dealers have to buy 6,000, like their first order must be at wholesale prices, $6,000 or $8,000 worth of guns. You have to buy, to be a stocking dealer, you have to buy this much. You can't say you're a stocking SIG dealer and not have any SIGs in the case. They won't let you do it. And so, I guarantee you these P365s are sitting in wholesalers, distributors, warehouses, or they're sitting in gun stores and they are flying. Obviously, if a million, like half, if they sold 500,000, I'd be shitting. This gun hasn't been out that long.
No, but I'll tell you what, it's got a growing market. And here's the thing. You can sit there and say, oh, the growing market, what the internet is saying is one thing. But when you get a guy from SIG telling you flat out this is the way it is, you have to realize that that's the truth.
Well, remember, Freeze, when we were, I don't know where we were, probably at an NRA show somewhere, and we were talking to Kevin Wisner who's no longer at Blaser, so I'm going to use his name. We're talking to the guy from Blaser. And Blaser, SIG, Mauser, Rigby, Blaser, SIG, Mauser, Rigby. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody.
Holland and Holland is part of that.
Did they buy Holland? They're all they're part of L&O, which is their parent company. And so in Europe, so anyway, we were talking to the guy from Blaser, and we were talking about getting stuff into because I was more interested in it. And like they used to run the Blaser stuff through SIG USA, because SIG USA was their military law enforcement importer into the United States, and so they handled all the bringing the stuff in, then they would give it to the different brands. It was a one point, why have multiple importers when you're operating under one umbrella group? So it just made sense logistically. L&O admits that they did not expect SIG USA to turn into the monster that it has turned into. I mean, obviously they hired guys to come in and be like, every company is competitive under the L&O brand, and their job is to grow their individual company. But SIG USA exponentially became this monster, and nobody expected it. And L&O had to recalibrate a lot of how all of these brands function in the United States because of what happened to SIG USA, because of their success. And this was years before they got the service pistol with the Army. This was before the SIG really blew up. And, it's interesting to know that, because Freeze and I know this on the back end with L&O, and then to see a guy who sits at the table with L&O, and you can tell they've become the big dog under the umbrella. They may be a subsidiary, but when they sneeze, L&O gets a fucking cold. They're running it. Yeah.
L&O gets a 3x5 fucking bench at the fucking show. Now they get a whole fucking room.
Yeah.
Basically. Because
but you know what? That's actually for people that have never been to the trade shows, but this was obvious years ago. Like we would go and we'd have to find the Blaser guys, and Blaser would be, and it would never typically not be that far from SIG, but the Blaser booth would be about the size of, I don't know,
a lunchroom table.
I mean, well, I'm bigger than that, but it'd probably be, I don't know. I mean, it'd probably be 40 by 40. Maybe.
I mean,
and then like SIG would be so huge you could see their table, their section, like they'd have buildings, you could see it across the freaking convention hall. Like, and that was years ago. It's like, holy shit, what the hell's going on there?
Yeah, but I mean, if things have changed.
Mm-hmm. So okay, I have more gun news here, industry news that I wanted to talk about, and I doubt you guys have picked up on this because I know you didn't do your homework. Brownells, Brownells has the AR-180 guns.
Yeah.
They've been doing retro guns. They re-released the GAU rifles. They released the A1s. They released the AR-10 variants, and they released some AR-180s and some, even if you don't want to buy the whole gun, you can buy the upper. Well, they have released a Gen 2 upgrade to the AR-180, and I guess it's got a It's got a more secure forend, but it's easier to remove it because it uses a different locking system to take the forend off, and it has an adjustable gas block. And also, they're adding 300 blackout to the line. And basically, what that tells me is, it's like, dude, this it's weird. This AR-180 is starting to come back. I mean, but it makes sense because most people don't realize just about every piston AR that you see out there is a derivative of the AR-180, one way or the other. And it's just neat. I just thought it was a neat story. We're gonna have to pick up one of those 180s. So, Freeze, one of your projects is you're gonna have to keep an eye out and try to find compare the Gen 1 to the Gen 2 and see which one we should get. And
okay, I mean, that's not a problem. That's actually a pretty good project. I mean, I've got some on the table right now, but I can always work that in.
Oh, speaking of which, we do have another project for you too. In the move, we did have one gun get damaged in the move.
Oh, which one's that?
Fortunately or unfortunately for you,
oh my God! Don't tell me it's the 9mm handgun that I got.
No. The Mauser rifle that we thought it was a Czech Mauser, but then you got into it and refluffed and buffed and found that it was actually a German Mauser that had been restamped or something. You remember that gun?
Yeah.
That gun got. Long story short, that gun was near a vault door, and the rack was temporarily over there for just this like 5 or 6 rifles on this rack, and it got bumped, and that thing fell and hit some steel for the security of the room. So It's got some blemishes. It's got some kisses on it, and I want you to look at it to see if you can
bring it over. Let me play with it, and I'll see what I can do with it.
Yeah. So it's
if nothing else, it'll be a good article on a refinish.
Yeah, and we still haven't found a 9mm yet, but we're still looking. We're still going through stuff. So, dude, I'm still hanging rack systems. I'm still hanging rack systems for the armory. We don't even have all the rifles up on the wall yet, and we have we have a lot of rifles up on the wall.
I'm sure we do.
Yeah, once we get the rifles up, we can get to all the boxes, and I'm sure I can bet money. I know what room it's in, and I know probably within 6 boxes which box it's in.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I know it's there. It's just a matter of finding it. That's okay. Whatever. It's no big deal.
Typically, I would say I know it. I know it's at the armory, but since we moved and I haven't seen it, I don't feel great about it. So it's
I mean, look, it's a big fucking move. Mm-hmm. It's a big move.
But that's why with the new rack system, everything is visible, so you can literally do an inventory check with your eye. You can walk in and go scan what's not here.
You're saying, the next time I go to the armory, I can say, "Oh yeah, cool, grab it and go."
Yeah, no, we'll just give it back to you. But the thing is, we're gonna be changing a little bit of how stuff gets checked out, and there's gonna be there's working guns that get used all the time. They're gonna be on their own section of the wall. In their own area, whereas reference guns, and so there'll be spots like, hey, where's the double action Beretta from that police department? Is it on the wall? No, it must be out in the truck or at the range. And if it's not in the truck, it's on that goddamn wall.
But here's the problem. You're assuming that everyone's going to remember where's the double action police Beretta from that police department. It's like the problem is there's so many reference guns. It's
with the wall system there'll be a hole, and so visually we can see why is there a hole here? Where's that gun? Okay,
that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. But we have to. We started to realize we can't have. It didn't make sense once we started putting the systems up to have a bunch of guns that are reference guns that maybe get shot once every 2 or 3 or 4 years intermingled with guns that could get pulled out every week. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
that's the problem, because we had reference guns in there that we actually literally had forgotten about that we even had.
that's another issue too with the inventory control system, is because if you can't see it, you can't it makes it hard to track it. That's why we went to this military system. So it's literally you can do a visual check and like boom, 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 boom. So
yeah,
all right,
which is a good.
We're gonna end on a crime story, but it's kind of a feel good story in the end, but it doesn't sound like a feel good story. So, I've preached about, look, we live in a brave new world. You're always on camera. You know what I mean? Like, you got cameras on your phone, front and back. You got cameras on these fancy TVs now. There's security cameras everywhere. There's dash cams everywhere. There's drones. There's trail cam. There's always cameras. Like, people that think they can do stuff and get away with it. It's funny how they haven't quite figured this out. So there was a story, I think it was in California, and this woman, I hate to stereotype her, but she's got yoga pants on, she's driving a Tesla, and she takes her dog and goes to the park. I guess she wants to get rid of her dog, and she pulls up at her Tesla, $90,000 car. Goes to walk on this trail, tricks the dog, and then comes running back and leaves. And, people eventually find this lost dog, and she's like I'm hoping that they will, somebody will, rescue the dog, because I guess she decided she couldn't take care of the dog anymore. Well, they found the dog, and they're like, why is there a dog here? Whose dog is this? And so they were like, I don't know. Well, let's pull the cameras, because the park has cameras. And dude, it's HD. Like, they've got her car, they got her plate. They can see how the dog didn't understand what was going on, and she was like, no, let's go this way. And then the dog was trying to go back. No, let's go this way. And then she runs back to the car, and like, it was a little sad, and it was just one of those things. It's like, dude, if you think you can get away with stuff anymore, you think you're not, don't do stuff in private that you wouldn't be proud of, because there's no such thing as private anymore. And I just thought that was a interesting story, and I'll post it up on the internet.
That is an interesting story, because it's like, in this day and age, basically everything's on camera. Don't try to avoid it, because it's not happening.
You know what? Don't do. It's like littering. Like, you know what? If you would be embarrassed for littering, like if someone said, dude, what the fuck? Then you know what? Don't litter, because the chances are you're going to be on camera and someone's going to go, dude, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Just fucking try to be a better person in life. If you ever look, people love dogs. If you have a dog, even if it's a vicious dog or you just can't handle it, there are a million people out there. All you have to do is say, hey, can somebody take my dog, because I just can't do it anymore? Or, whatever the reason is you would have for, that people will take the dog. You don't need to freaking throw this domesticated dog out to the wolves. It was like a golden retriever, like the friendliest dog. Oh my God. It was sad, but it was like,
and that's the thing. There's so many pet lovers out there to where, and look, the internet is so prolific at this point. If you sit there and go on, hell, there's probably 100 different Facebook groups. If you want to go on to just Facebook.
Oh, dude, there's a group in every town called the SCPA.
But what I'm saying is but if you go on your Facebook page, there's probably 100 different groups that say, I can't have this dog anymore for whatever reason, whether it's a shitty reason or whether it's a legitimate reason. I guarantee you there will be hundreds of people that will take that fucking whether it's a dog or a cat or whatever animal. Insert whatever here.
Oh, no. I guarantee you
will take it from you.
Here's where it gets better. See, now, because everybody, like this woman, is going to be like Kamala Harris. Everything you say is on record. All the shit people post on Facebook is on record. All the shit people send in text messages is on record. It would be nothing, not only to find out who this woman is, and she's like, "Oh, it wasn't me. My dog ran away." It's like, "We found your dog." Well, no, it was you because we have you on video. Here's your car. Here's your tag. Here's what you were wearing. But they can now go into their public social media profiles and see where maybe 2 years ago she was commenting on, "How dare you leave a dog, abandon a dog, animal cruelty. You should be executed." And it's like 2 years later, gotcha, bitch. And that's where it gets crazy because people really got to be careful how they behave. And I thought that was it's not a sexy story. It's not like a fun story, but it's like the dog is fine, and they're gonna charge the woman with something. Like it'll be unless she lived in Chicago, then they would drop all the charges. So
Detrago, get it right.
Detrago. All right, well, that wraps up episode 183 of the John 1911 podcast. If you want to see any stories, pictures, or links or video of the interview that we referenced, please go to our website, john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
See you later.
Bye-bye.